I started working for Lincoln Public Schools December 1st, 1986. I was in the kitchen at Pershing Elementary, which was kind of neat because that's where I spent part of my elementary school. So the building had not changed hardly at all. So that was kind of neat to be on the other side. And then after 3 years, my feet were starting to hurt from walking all over the place. It's a very hard job, but it was really good. And I then went to Mickle Middle School and was on the office staff there until the spring of 1991. April of 1991, I transferred to Nutrition Services and started a new position there. They were growing and needed some extra help, so I started that position. So when I first started in the kitchen, I was off with my kids during the summer and everything, so this was a 200 calendar, so that was a little bit of adjustment, but the kids were getting a little older and able to bounce around a little bit easier. So then in September of 2000, I moved to Human Resources and was what was considered the file clerk at the time. It's evolved tremendously since then. And then in July of 2001, I went to Risk Management and am the secretary and have been there ever since. Working in Nutrition Services, that is feeding the kids every day. Doesn't matter what happens in your office, those kids need to be fed. And they have always done a fantastic job. Now, some people don't like some foods, that's okay. Not everybody's gonna like everything, but when you look at the numbers as to how many kids they feed a day, multiply that into a year, decades, and they do a fantastic job. And then transitioning into work comp, that everybody, oh, work comp. It's like, no, it's not so bad. We want you to be healthy. We want you to be safe, not only for yourself, but also for the students. I don't see that many people. I talk to them over the phone. And one thing I'd learned going to conferences and staff development, always answer this phone with a smile. That's not easy to do sometimes, you know, when you're bouncing from one phone call to another within, you know, about a minute or two, and you have to change positions or course or different injuries, different situations. But that's very important, is to always be as pleasant as you can, no matter how upset the person is on the other side. Sometimes people just want to vent, and you're it. One thing that started out as a negative, but definitely turned into a positive, was the fire. The way everyone came together. We had a plastic tub and said, okay, this is our file cabinet. Let's see, after the fantastic IT department got the computers back up and running, we started printing stuff off from there that we could, so we had the paper file, so we could at least have a starting point. That's still memorable now because so many questions come up. Well, what about this 5-10 years ago? Okay, I have to stop and think, what was I doing at that time? Was it before the fire? Was it after the fire? Was it transitioning during the fire? So you have to think along those lines, and that, like I said, very memorable because it still applies to today. There were times when we were all kind of relocated for those 2 years that, well, where did I put this? Oh, that burned up. I don't have that anymore. Well, now what do I do? Oh, okay. So those are the memories that really stick. And I remember being at home and waking up that Tuesday morning and, oh my gosh, you know, my husband and I both work for the district, so it was like, now what do we do? Well, I called my boss and she said, stay home till you hear from me. So that's the biggest memory. But like I said, it turned into a positive. We ended up with a much needed new building. Too bad it's the way it had to happen. But it is definitely better for the district that we are in this environment now. I used the term, I used LPS to my advantage. Not in a negative way, but it afforded me to be able to do the things that I wanted to do. I wanted to be home with my kids. LPS gave me the opportunities to do this, where private sector jobs, you know, it wasn't working. I worked part-time jobs. You miss your kids' ball games at night. You had to work weekends. You missed out on family time. But working for LPS was great in that respect, that it provided time off when I needed it, when I wanted it, retirement, sick leave, chance to be with family. And that's a good thing. LPS has a lot of options, and I encourage people to look into them.